Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are all doing well. And today, guys, we're back with an Empire vs. Bretonnia showdown. It's going to be the Emperor facing off against the King, so it should be quite a bit of fun. Now, as far as my build goes here, it is going to be basic swordsman here in the front line, because basic swordsman, one of the few times the Empire can do very well in the front line, is against Bretonnia. They do very well against men-at-arms and against, obviously peasant mobs, and they trade okay against some of the higher tier troops. Obviously, they would lose to foot squires as well as battle pilgrims, but in this matchup, Bretonnia typically just spams questing knights and or knights of the realm, and then gets like just absolutely terrible infantry. So see how it goes. Swordsman, Sigmar Sons, double war wagons. Now, a lot of people kind of perceive wagons as memes, but there are 2 or 3 matchups at Bretonnia and Lizardmen especially, where war wagons are actually highly competitive and very effective. They can kite the Bretonnian heavy cavalry, pick them off with relatively high stopping power, and yeah, they just do great work. I really do like the war wagons. Over here, we do have a Hellblaster volley gun. This is my unique spice here on the matchup, although I think probably a lot of Empire players do it, but I like to kind of mix it in. I find that it often just gets sniped and doesn't pay for itself, but when it does pay for itself, oh baby, it feels good. So these Hellblaster volley guns, yeah, against heavy cavalry, they can kill peasant archers. That's the thing, because great cannons will be better against cav, right? Or at least longer range, they're more likely to get their value, but to have a dual purpose unit like a Hellblaster, which is good against infantry and cav, is pretty good. So that's it. Spearmen, 2 Empire Knights. We do have the Royal Outdwarf Griffites as well with Franz, a Jade Wizard, and that is it for my army. And I actually find this is pretty common. Pretty much every time I play in a tournament or a best of 3 scenario, I'll pick Empire and I'll ban Dwarves and Vampire counts in almost everyone I play against. In the Chinese tournament I played on, in Ticity's Ladder, in my son's tournaments, whatever I happen to be playing in, I find that almost every time it's Bretonnia. Like, it's so common. Bretonnia or Beastmen. Beastmen are actually fairly common as well. So for the army here of the Platypus, it's going to be King LOUEN backed up by Knights of the Realm, Defenders of Fleur de Lis. So it looks like it is going to be the Knights of the Realm variant. So yeah, 5 of those in total. Peasant mobs, men-at-arms, and a shit ton of peasant bowmen. Very, very standard stuff. And actually the Damsel of Heavens is kind of a cool tech piece, because LOUEN doesn't need healing, and Knights of the Realm don't really need it that much either, and they certainly don't mind it. But basically what you do is you use the Uranan's Thunderbolt, and it can snipe artillery pieces. So if somebody's sitting there with like a Hellblaster volley gun or something like that, you can basically just spam it just like this, and it often will kill the artillery piece, not every single time. I actually didn't know what was happening here. I was like, oh god, I better get back. So yeah, see that? It does zap one of the pieces, right? So now I only have 2 Hellblasters, and that's pretty cost effective. That's really going to be nullifying quite a bit of value I invested in that piece right there. So I do get back on here, and now the Hellblaster will be getting in range to start shooting at the Peasant Bowmen, and you can see that the Thunderbolt actually has pretty good range, right? Able to get it from downtown here on the Hellblaster volley gun and really, make my crew pay the troll toll. The Hellblaster tearing into the Peasant Bowmen. At least it's getting a little bit of something here. Empire Knights as well as State Troopers going to be charging into the front line against the peasant mobs, and it makes these Empire Knights feel like they're Knights of the Blazing Sun when they can ride into peasants and feel like they're doing a bunch of damage. But the peasant mobs are broken, of course, and now Spearmen at Arms are moving in on both fronts. And there's a bit of an opening here. The Empire Knights might be able to pull back and go up and around and collapse the whole peasant line, because there's no cavalry actually back there defending those. Another Thunderbolt attempt going. I think probably the best way to dodge the Thunderbolt would have been to actually move the Hellblaster volley gun up, like have the crew push it to try and dodge it. But in that case, now I lose another one of the Hellblaster pieces. And yeah, we're pretty much offline with that, which really is not fun. In the backfield, the war wagons are pulling back, and I actually think I had fire at will turned off here, which was a little bit of a mistake because I was trying to conserve ammunition during the skirmishing phase. So the war wagons will be retreating. They should have killed a couple knights here, but in the end, okay, it looks like they are indeed shooting. So okay, that wasn't too much of a mistake. Franz comes in. I pop my items a little bit foolhardy here. I was a little bit ahead of myself. I have spearmen moving up, but now the cavalry are going to be re-engaging on Franz, who does the really unfortunate attack animation of leaping into his opponents. On the other side, it's going okay. Griffites and basic State Troopers just kind of holding back some of the chaff units. But really the biggest thing I have going for me right now is the fact that those Empire Knights peeled up and around, took out 1 Peasant Archer, got another one, and are most certainly going to be buttering the bread of those other 2. Because I need something like that, because this little Franz misplay certainly cost me quite a bit. I pop my different, buffs here, and I have some Spearmen helping. I do also have a Hellblaster volley gun, 1 left, shooting here, but LOUEN does get a really good rear charge right here. And yeah, I wasted my cooldowns, I took a beating. But so too did the Bretonnian cavalry, and I do have access to regrowth and a couple other nice abilities like that, so worst case, I should be able to get away. We also do get a good counterpunch. The Royal Outdwarf Griffites come in, which pretty much seals the doom of these Bretonnian Knights of the Realm, and I also have State Troopers here supporting, so many of the Bretonnian Knights will be taking massive casualties. Franz is able to get away with a regrowth, and then he jumps over to go after the Knights of the Realm, leaving LOUEN actually trapped with the Royal Outdwarf Griffites and some Spearmen. And the Empire Knights in the backfield still doing great work, just running through all the Pox arrows. There are 2 Peasant Bowmen online still, and the War Wagons are basically just rotating around, trying to shoot at the defenders of Fleur-de-Lis, whatever cav they can, and I do use them as a temporary roadblock to allow my Empire Knights in France to kind of rear charge them here. Hellblaster Volley Gun is offline. Bretonnia is certainly a little bit ahead in the balance of power, but we're still just getting massive work done with these Empire Knights. Another Peasant Bowman here that did rally is going to be getting jumped on. Swordsman on top of these Peasant Bowmen. And, you know, Franz has actually formed a pretty formidable Death Star, right? He's got the Earthblood, he's back up to full health. As a matter of fact, at this point, he is a little bit healthier than King LOUEN, which is very nice. Yeah, Knights of the Realm just pushing, man, just going after these War Wagons. Here comes the Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis. They do get terror routed, I believe, or just naturally broken. And yeah, the Hellblaster Volley Gun crew in the back is certainly not long for this world, and I was doing my best to try and keep LOUEN on the ground. We did win that engagement over there in the backfield, and the Griffites are just chasing LOUEN, but LOUEN should be able to get away. I was really hoping that if I could find LOUEN here, I could basically jump with Franz, pin LOUEN down with the Griffites, and basically just win the game at that point. But we do kind of pull a little bit back in the balance of power. We're certainly very even now. The Empire Knights and the basic Spearmen grinding with the Bretonnian infantry. All the Peasant Bowmen, with the exception of one, are offline. And just imagine if we didn't have those Empire Knights with that, you know, solid backfield pressure, just that one unit, right, made all the difference. There would be like 4 or 5 Peasant Archers causing a massive amount of DPS here on the battlefield, which really would be terribly scary indeed. The Spearmen moving up, just waddling around. It looks like LOUEN and the boys going to be jumping in. Nice rear charge here by Bretonnia, hammering into my poor state troopers who are looking like straight out of Game of Thrones, Battle of the Bastards here, surrounded. No way to escape on either side. And these basic Spearmen of Sigmar are also going to be run down by Knights of the Realm, and yeah, a fair amount of shock damage. But on that same note, we do respond by getting those Knights of the Realm. My Empire Knights in the backfield who have earned a chevron from feasting on the souls of the Peasant Archers continue to do Sigmar's work. And the War Wagons are still here, which is nice. You know, I don't necessarily have to take engagements. I can use the War Wagons, but, you know, Franz he's not gonna run. He's getting in there. So the Griffites are going in. Looks like a Curse of the Midnight Wind. Very good stuff. Lowers my melee attack and armor. But we have Sigmar Sons, we have Earthblood, we have Stand Your Ground. We have a ton of buffs here. So we're gonna pop all the goodies. And Franz does go for the duel here with King LOUEN. On that same note, we do also have the Royal Altdorf Griffites. Like I said, Runefang basically counteracts the Curse of the Midnight Wind. And we get the Terror Rats because of the Griffites as well as Franz. And Franz really giving the business to LOUEN right here. He's taking vengeance for that earlier engagement. And at this point, we do really pull quite far ahead here in the balance of powers. The King and the Emperor go fisticuffs here in this battle. Empire Knights moving, able to intercept some of those Knights of the Realm, and the War Wagons again just causing disruption to the backfield. Some Peasant Archers decided to get back into the fray after being rode down 3 or 4 times. But at this point, it's looking very grim here for the sons and daughters of Bretonnia. King LOUEN is going to get away. Franz is going to stay right on his hip here, and I figured I'd be okay to duel up here in the sky. I think Franz is a little bit slower, and generally LOUEN, without buffs, LOUEN is a better duelist, but with buffs, Franz can usually get it done. So I want you guys to watch this. 500 HP, 2100 on Franz, and so far, I guess I didn't take into account the Curse of the Midnight Wind was on me this entire time. And also the Rolling Skies. Rolling Skies is the passive from Heavens, which lowers armor, and man, oh man, that actually made a huge difference. I have had like 6 or 7 attacks against LOUEN, and I have not been able to hit him once, which is crazy considering how good Franz's melee attack is. And really, at the end of the day, that's just some really unfortunate RNG, and that can happen in this game. It's something you have to account for. But thankfully, we were far. And if like the game was on the line there, I would have been so bummed. But we are pretty far ahead in this battle. Sigmar Sons, we have the 2 wagons, the Royal Altdorf Griffites and the Empire Knights are kind of just sweeping the ground forces. And from here, LOUEN is at 174. Him and Franz are kind of flying side by side. They're like, why can't we be friends? Basically what they're singing there, I would imagine. And I'm sure they'll get over this. They're both going to survive. They're both going to fly their different directions. They'll send, you know, emissaries to one another. All is good in the hood. So here comes the Empire charge. Brutal damage there on those Peasant Bowmen. Once again, these guys, let's see how much value these Empire Knights have gotten. 268 kills, goodness gracious. Oh man, almost 1,500 on an Empire Knight. That's pretty uncommon. Usually they're just a sacrificial screen, but they did the trick here. GG, well played. A really fun game in that series we played. And yeah, the Hellblaster Volley Gun, a little bit of a disappointment. But, you know, if you had seen like Fey Double Paladin, which of course is very meta, something a little bit different, you know, the Thunderbolt sniping wouldn't have been as, you know, I wouldn't have been there, and the Hellblaster could have fought longer, right? But yeah, that was quite good. Wagons did okay. You know, they were healthy, had a ton of ammo, and overall, I think the build is pretty good. There's kind of an argument to go double Demogryph or double Empire Knight plus Demogryph. I think this is better. It gives you more spatial control, because I find if you go double Demogryph Knight, you kind of get swamped down, and the Peasant Archers can run rampant. But yeah, I dig this for sure. I thought it was fine. Probably, honestly, I would just switch this to like a Great Cannon and then just get some more troops or something else on the battlefield. I don't know, something. But well played. Yeah, it was a good game. Very close. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Well played to the Platypus and my friends. We'll be back with more replays soon. I'll look at the amount deployed, 1337. How could we possibly win? Oh, no, wait. Oh, I thought it was, okay. I thought it was the sacred number, but it's not. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Well played to my opponent. And my friends, we will be back with more replay soon. Take care.